Um, okay, so enough about good players. I wanted to start this stream a little differently than I've done in the past, and look over a game that I played off stream yesterday. Right after my stream ended, Eric Rosen's stream started, and he was accepting challenges, so I got to play a game against Eric, um, which is only the second time we've played. I think I played reasonably well. I'm really proud of the game actually. I lost, of course, but I got pretty deep into the game with Eric, and I actually had a slight advantage with black, so I was really happy with that. Um, yeah, so I wanted to kind of show this game, and I haven't really looked over it in depth, so this will also kind of be my chance to analyze it maybe a little bit more and try to learn more from it. But is there supposed to be no music? There is supposed to be no music. Yeah. I was thinking I would probably put this review on YouTube, so I'm holding off on the music for now. But thank you, Squirrel. um, yeah, actually, if you do want to see the game live, you can go watch Eric's VOD from yesterday. I assume his VOD's still up. I assume he keeps all his VODs up, but I don't know for sure. But I think I play him about 30 to 40 minutes into the stream. You saw it, Low on Ranch? Yeah, thank you. Did I see what Eric said? Yeah, I watched the VOD of Eric commenting on the game. So there were a few moments where I think I caught him by surprise, but I was never like seriously better. I just had like a small advantage at times. But anyway, okay, so let's get into this game. He played e4. I guess I don't know. I kind of want to have. Maybe I'll just turn the arrows off. I like the computer analysis on, but I don't want all the arrows. Okay, so he played e4. Now I've been thinking about mixing up my openings and trying to foray more into e4, e5, but I figure I probably should play something I know since I'm playing someone 10,000 times stronger than me, and I'm playing a game that 1,000, 2,000 people are watching. I'd like to play well, so I stuck with what I know, the Sicilian. And then we did this normal stuff, and then he played the delayed Alapin, I guess is what this is called, which I know a little bit of at this point. I guess I actually didn't know it because I thought the most common move was d5, but according to Lichess, the most common was knight f6, so it shows what I know. So I played d5, and he took, and I took, and he played d4, and I really was sort of out of theory here, or out of whatever theory I remember. Turns out bishop g4 is the most common move. Yeah, I don't know. Thanks for following, Akani, aka Nikolay. That's what it is. So I played the second most common move. I played knight f6. I just figured I'll develop a piece. Knight's probably coming to f6 anyway. And then he played an interesting move here that I didn't understand. He played knight a3. So at this point, I figured, well, the main reason I'm not capturing this pawn and allowing this tension to remain in the previous position is that I don't want to allow him to take towards the center and give this square for his knight. Now his knight's on a3, so I captured the pawn, which the computer actually calls a blunder, which is, man, pretty harsh. So the computer thinks black's a hair better here, and now it says white's, got an advantage. And now the point of knight a3 became clear to me, or well, after he played his move, knight b5, which I didn't see, which is threatening a big fork here, and also ready to regain the pawn, some kind of way. So, in his VOD, how's it going, Spencer? Shout out to Spencer. So in Eric's VOD, while the game was being played, he said that this was like one of the games from Ludwig Carlsen Botez, the hand and brain match that they had like a few days ago or a week ago or whatever. I think Magnus and Ludwig had the white pieces here, and I don't know if this was the exact position, but something like this happened. I think in that game, Magnus was the brain. He said knight, and Ludwig played here, and or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Ludwig was the brain. He said knight, and Magnus was like, whatever, this is probably the best. I can't remember. In any case, this might be a famous game. Okay, so I was a little upset at this point because I figured, you know, he's sort of taking this pawn back in a productive way, and he has better pieces than I do and everything. So I just retreated my queen all the way back because, I mean, I felt my only other option was like here, and that blocks the bishop, so don't really want to do that. So queen all the way back. He took the pawn. I thought for a while here, I think, as I recall. And I can't remember exactly why I thought I needed to trade these knights, but I guess I just felt that, you know, white has a lot of pieces. This knight's very good, and it seems fair to trade it off for this knight, even though I'm kind of improving this knight. My plan was to trade and then eventually play e5. I can't really play e5 now because he can insert this capture, right? So, surprise, Rosen took the pawn, it didn't go. Bishop f4. Yeah, actually, I wondered about that during the game. And in his recap, he did mention it, or maybe it was during the game he mentioned it. And I'm trying to remember why he ruled it out. Oh, he ruled it out because he thought that knight d5 would be fine for black, defending this and attacking this. So yeah, I mean, I think I was a little lucky in the game because, like, you know, Eric likes to play really tricky and you know, have active pieces, and in this game he was a little more calm and kind of just let me trade a lot of material off. So I traded knights, and he took with the queen, and I took back with the queen, and my plan is still just to take, and okay, he's either going to isolate his pawn, his knight will come here, and I'll play e5 at some point. And I just felt like, you know, I'm sort of surviving this. You know, I got the queens off the board. I'm not going to get mated in 15 moves. You know, not too bad. So he took back with the knight. And I mean, I really want to play e5 here, but I thought knight b5 was too annoying, because this fork is kind of difficult, and maybe even bishop b5 is good in some cases too. So I took a timeout to play a6, which seems like it was the correct thing to do. Here he realized that I wanted to play e5, so he played a move that prevented me from playing e5. He played bishop f4. And I think this was probably my best move of the game. It may not be like objectively the best move, but I think this move like got me a position that was good later. So I'm really proud of how I reasoned through this position. So I wanted to play e5. He stopped me from playing e5. And you know, if I say, okay, I can't play e5, I'm just going to play like e6, well then obviously my light square bishop is you know, sort of blocked, and doesn't really have much of a future, it seems. I don't know if I really considered g6, but you know, this diagonal is not really, you know, he's got it pretty solidly defended. So I found another way to play e5. I need to support e5. I briefly looked at knight d7, but that's again sort of passive and blocking the bishop. Wait, did I not update the game? Thank you, dead dude. Sorry. So I played knight g4, which the computer's not really fond of, but it seems like maybe the more it's thinking, the more it's saying, okay, black's not crazy. He said after the game that he asked after the game if this was prep, like if this was some move I had prepared, which of course it's not. Like I don't know any theory to move 11, but I guess that means he was impressed with the move. He said at first he thought it was a mistake, but then, you know, it actually ended up turning out well. This is the Rosen game, yeah. Yeah, this is my game with Eric yesterday. So yeah, I guess it's a compliment if he's asking me if my move is preparation. So of course he sees that I'm threatening e5, winning a piece. He thought for a little while here, and he just moved back with bishop g3. I mean, I also looked at some lines. You know, like if he plays f3 or h3, I knew that e5's coming anyway, and I thought that all of those were fine for me. So there's not really much he can do to stop me from playing e5 on the next move. So I know that even though my knight is, you know, on a unstable square, you know, I'm going to be able to play this move e5 with tempo, and then I'll be able to come back, you know, to h3 or I'm sorry, h6 or f6. But I know a couple lines. I don't think I know anything to move 11. The deepest I probably know anything is that one Grunfeld line that everyone plays against me. And then there might be a line in the King's Indian that I know to move 11, but I doubt it. Okay, so he moved his bishop back. I played e5 anyway. That was like the whole idea, was to get in e5. And I mean, again, he could maybe throw in an in-between move like h3 or f3, but I figured after take and he takes and then I take and isolate his pawn, I felt I shouldn't be worse. So he moved his knight. I also considered that if he plays knight f3, my pawn's under attack, but I have time to play f6. He can kick my knight at that point. Okay, I guess I'll show the full thing. He could maybe kick my knight at that point, but, you know, the knight is temporarily sidelined with h6, but I can come back to f5 or f7 and somehow get back into the game. And I thought that was good. So he went back to c2. I played f6 anyway, because, you know, he is threatening to kick my knight away and take this pawn. So f6. He developed a bishop. Let's see. Do I have any master games memorized? No, I don't have any master games memorized. Like, there's some master games that I'll recognize if you show me like the middle game position, but I can't show you like how we got there. Dragon to bishop c6 as long as theory. See, I don't even know what line you're talking about, so so probably not. Okay, so here, you know, it seems like it's time to develop some bishops. I played bishop e6. I'm trying to remember, you know, what all was the thought process there. I think my main point with bishop e6 is that I thought that he might want to castle next. Like, he could castle long, perhaps. And, you know, with bishop e6, I'm reminding his rook that this pawn is a little tender. You know, I guess also I can't go to f5, obviously. The only other option is to go here, but probably a rook wants to be there eventually. There is an undefended piece sitting on this file, so rook d8 is going to come with tempo at some point, likely. The only other plan would kind of be, I guess, to do something like this, or play b5 and get the bishop here. I can't remember if I thought about b5 much, but I mean, the thing about b5 is he can immediately attack my rook, and that seems like I'm kind of giving him tempo. So I think bishop e6 is a good move. The computer is also looking at bishop c5, which I think I played next. But hey, what's up, Akash? Yeah, Fabi's game was incredible. I'm in awe by that preparation, and that you can play in such a way and, you know, be fine. Okay, so I played bishop e6, and here I think he castled, yeah. And the computer actually really likes black now. I could castle here, that's what the computer wants to do. What's up, Amadeus? Yeah, I mean, that game was really something. I kind of felt like You know, it's not necessarily clear that I have to castle to me. You know, maybe there's some case where I just put my king like here or here. So castling felt maybe a little premature. And this bishop is obviously not in the party yet. So I just played bishop c5, which the computer doesn't like. 419 bits from Akash. Thank you, Akash. Now, I have to admit, I don't know what Bicycle Day refers to, but but happy Bicycle Day. Is that related to 420 in any way? Google off stream. Okay. All right. That sounds like sound advice. Is it okay if you smoke weed? Yeah, it's fine by me. It's 420's older brother. Wow. Man, you guys are really making me feel like I'm, you know, a rube. I don't know what's going on in the real world. But... All right, so I thought bishop c5 was a nice diagonal for the bishop. Obviously, I'm on the diagonal with his king. Maybe this pawn gets soft because he's letting my knight sit on g4 for the time being. He played bishop e4, which targets my pawn. Obviously, I can't play b6 or b5 or anything like that. He said that he was expecting rook b8, but then after I made my move, he said that I think he said he just like forgot that it was legal. So I just castled to defend my b7 pawn and put this rook on a great file immediately. Squirrel, you like castling? Yeah, so he seemed surprised by castling. I think maybe he just forgot that castling was still possible in the middle game. I don't know. Okay, he played rook ad1. And at this point, my main idea that I had, I didn't really know how else to make progress. Now, I'll say one thing that's a little lucky is I don't think I ever noticed that this pawn was hanging, which is good because the pawn is this is a classic, you know, Eric Rosen laying a trap. If I take the pawn, he has a fork of my undefended knight and king, which I didn't even analyze this line, so I kind of got lucky there. So what I wanted to do in this position was play h5, and that is, you know, threatening h4 to trap the bishop. And, you know, I mean, this is my pawn majority. I feel like I should get it rolling. And, you know, maybe then, maybe this rook becomes active here. Or maybe the rook can do something else because it doesn't have to babysit this pawn anymore. But I felt h5 was the correct direction to go. The computer just wants to play h5 right now. The problem I had with h5 immediately is that when he trades rooks, my rook gets drawn away, and, you know, then if I want to do this, I have to move my rook back. That's probably not correct logic, because, you know, obviously white's not going to allow h4 to trap his bishop, so, you know, maybe my rook doesn't really want to be on h8 long term. Who am I playing? Eric Rosen. Yeah, Eric Rosen has white here. So, by the way, this is like the peak of the evaluation for black. So this was the best I could muster against Eric. But so rather than play h5, which the computer likes right away, I decided to trade rooks first. Which I guess, you know, it's a mistake. Obviously, the computer says it's a mistake. And I mean, I knew, like, yeah, I'm helping him develop his rook, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And, you know, also after he recaptures, you know, this bishop is pretty tenuous because now the pressure on f2 is a little more real. The rook was defending and now it's not. If he lets me play h5, h4, even if he gets h3 in and backs up, then he's got a little issue here. So that's actually sort of the direction things went, but he found a way out that I didn't see. So yeah, h5, h3 was played, and I played h4, and you know, I thought, hey, this is looking good. And And it didn't occur to me that he can just play bishop takes h4 because my knight is still hanging. I took back, he took my knight, and I took with the bishop. I figured, hey, I'm throwing a punch at the rook, that's got to be good, right? I saw he can't play f3 because of this pin. And at this point, I felt really good about the position. I mean, I know I'm not like winning by force or anything here, but I'm playing a guy who's a million times better than me. I have the black pieces, but I have the bishop pair. I'm in an ending. You know, I guess this is probably the strongest pawn on the board. I don't know. Like, it seems like black's the one that has things to play for here. So I was really happy at this point. Unfortunately, it wasn't super long-lived, but... okay, so he moved his rook to attack my bishop. My only options really are to retreat, I think. I looked at the move b6, but then I thought b4 was good for white, and I really like my bishop on this diagonal, so I just retreated to a7. Yeah, the computer likes that move. And then I thought he made a mistake here, but I think it was just Eric Rosen playing an Eric Rosen trap. Oh wait, it wasn't here, I'm sorry. So he attacked my rook, I backed my rook up. And then here he played c4, and you know, my eyes like immediately light up because I see this, and he can't defend his pawn here, he can't defend his pawn here. Now, can you, yeah, you guys can see the time situation. So thanks for following NMWWJCD. Is that National Master What Would Jesus Christ Do? Nice. So yeah, you know, he's streaming, he's talking to stream and everything. So he's been a little lazy with his time management, as you know, I often have been. And I've got a minute more than him. This is a no increment game. This was a 10-0 game. So I sort of try to move quickly and put pressure on him now. And he retreated his rook. And thankfully here, I did stop to consider, why can't I take this pawn? And the answer is that he's going to pin my bishop. And Eric actually did some further analysis after this that I didn't do. I sort of stopped here because I see I'm losing my bishop. And then, let's see, he kept analyzing. He looked at like this and this. But like, yeah, there's nothing. I'm just losing my bishop. So, didn't do that, thankfully. Unfortunately, the move I made was also a blunder. And this is where, you know, I played well up until here, but now the game kind of goes off the rails and he proves why he's Eric Rosen. So my sort of strategic thought at this point was, I have two bishops. This pawn is going to be a target. You know, I've got this action going on. If I can trade these rooks, you know, this is looking great. Maybe I won't win, but I'm better for sure. So I'm like, hey, let's trade some rooks. Unfortunately, that's a blunder. And it falls into a trap that he laid several moves ago, which I never saw, which Dead Dude spots immediately. Not enough Puzzle Storm, yeah, probably. Yeah, bishop takes b7 is hard to meet. So turns out that my king is overworked here, which I didn't really stop to appreciate. My king is defending this rook, and it's defending this pawn. It can't do both. So now I had sort of a difficult choice. I mean, I'm just lost here. I calculated, you know, if I take his bishop, he takes my rook. Okay, I'm down an exchange and a pawn there. That's not good. I also looked at king c7, which maintains the defense. But after king c7, he can take my rook. I take back, he takes this pawn, which also defends this pawn. And, I mean, he's got three connected passers out here. I mean, I don't know why this is only +2. This feels like it's plus like 8 to me. So I decided this is unplayable. I'd rather just be down in exchange and try to fight on. So I took the bishop. Turns out this is equally terrible. So he took my rook, of course. I took his pawn. I've got to try to get something. Yeah, that's right. At least I get a pawn, so I'm only down in exchange. I guess I thought there were maybe still some chances. Bishop pair down in exchange, but equal pawns and all that. But he has rook d7 check, which forks my king and bishop. And as you can see now, the time is starting to catch up to me. He spent like 7 seconds on the last 5 moves, and I spent my extra minute. And I don't know what was going through my head, but I forgot that I needed to defend this bishop, so I moved my king up. And he took my bishop. And that was the end of that. I resigned here, which I hate resigning, but it seemed like it was time. So, anyway, I mean, I'm still pretty happy with the game. I mean, I think my big takeaway from the game is, you know, I think I've always sort of thought that I'm better playing sort of positionally, strategically. Thank you, Omar Khaled 132 for following. I've always sort of felt that I'm a better positional player, strategic player, whatever, than, you know, a sharp tactical player. And that was sort of how this game went. We traded off a lot of material early on. And, you know, I found sort of a nice way to get in e5, which was a nice, you know, small victory in this game. So, you know, I think that's my takeaway here is, you know, it's probably reasonable for me when I'm playing black, especially against a stronger opponent, it's probably pretty reasonable for me to just sort of accept a tame equal position and try to like outgrind my opponents. I mean, obviously I'm not going to outgrind Eric Rosen, but you know, it still was a nice game, I thought. So that's, I think, what I'm going to try to do more, especially when I have black, is not be afraid to just go into these queenless middle games and, you know, try to win positionally and strategically rather than tactically. So